Hi, what I'm going to be doing today is showing you how to make a sublimation print from an original piece of artwork. This is an original piece. This is a painting on plexiglass and fiberglass, and you can see on the back side of it there's stuff that shows through from the front. And this is a sublimation print made from that painting. This particular one is done on a piece of plexiglass. They can also be done on metal plates. This is a specially prepared aluminum plate that I bought online at eBay, and these you have to pay for at $2, $3 per prepared plate, whereas this was some plexiglass that I had lying around. The sublimation means that you're using a special kind of ink that is sublimated into the surface. That is, that it becomes actually a part of the surface. In this case, there's a white coating on these prepared plates. This was just a piece of plexiglass, unprepared, but the ink sublimates into it from the back side. You're looking through the plexiglass to the image on the back side, much as you are looking through this piece of plexiglass in the original piece. The one that we're actually going to be doing today is not one of these figurative pieces, but an abstract piece, which I'll show you in a minute. This one is on a piece of aluminum flashing that would be used for roofing, and I've applied it then to a piece of plexiglass to make it thick enough to stand on the wall. And sublimation means that the ink is changed to a gas, so it actually becomes a part of the piece of aluminum. The printing is done first on a special kind of paper with the special sublimation ink, and the paper is a transfer paper, and the transfer is done by a heat press process. So you put the transfer paper on the aluminum, press it in the heat press, and it is then permanently affixed to this sheet of aluminum. As in any art making process, you're going to need a few things. Like, it would be nice to have, as I do, a complete studio with all kinds of things I need. There's printmaking materials and painting easel and exercise machine. You got to have a TV. And I've got power tools over here, a power saw, various things. However, if you're limited in space, you can move things around. But for this process, there are a few things you're going to need. You're going to need a special printer. This is not all that special. It's an ordinary Epson printer, but you can see there's a special tank here that has ink in it with a cord that runs into it. So this is a continuous ink supply system, which has some advantages. That's the way you get the sublimation ink in there. This is the special tank of sublimation ink. There it is, and I'll show you how to set that up in the second part of these videos. And you're going to need a heat press. Now, obviously you'll have to spend some money to get these things. I think I paid about $200 or so for this printer. I think I got the heat press for about $140. They make several kinds, but this one's nice, has this swing arm that swings away. In my last video, I showed you how I do paintings similar to this one, which are acrylic on plexiglass and fiberglass. And the last one had some recognizable imagery in it, whereas this one is almost entirely abstract. And the problem with all original art is there is only one of them. And some of the ones that I've made, I've sold, so they no longer are in my possession. But I would still like to be able to sell the image in a gallery. An original print is something that is conceived of as a print in the first place, so you're likely to get, say, an edition of 10 prints, and they'll be numbered in pencil, and they'll say something like 1 out of 10. In addition to the metal pieces, the aluminum that's specially prepared, and they cost about, $2 or $3 a piece, something like that. I tried experimenting on some different surfaces. This, for example, is printed onto a sheet of plexiglass, like the plexiglass I used to do the paintings on. And there are some problems with that, but this one I think came out pretty good. When I finished the back of it, I spray painted it white so that the color would show through a little bit better. The problems you have are in the heat application process, it causes the plastic to melt and curve a little bit, so you have to play around with it to get it as flat as possible. This is a print on this metal plate that I'm talking about. It's an aluminum plate. I've glued a hanger contraption on the back of it. The original painting is it's done in that same technique with the plexiglass and the textures in the back. It's called The Birth of Muller. Before we get to how I'm doing this, I'm going to show you several of these. This is another one of these prints, also with the hanger on the back. This one is called Important Looking Figure with Badger. This one is Important Looking Lady with Kittens. This is Religious Looking Figure with Tasmanian Devil. Most of these paintings that I just showed you are prints, were printed on these sheets of specially prepared aluminum that you can order online from eBay. And you see there's a blue surface on this. That is just a protective film that you peel away. Once I peel that off of there, I have what appears to be a clean white sheet. And the white is a special paint made to take this ink, this sublimation ink. You have to have a special printer that will accept the sublimation cartridges, and later in this video I'll show you how that's all set up. This piece has a metallic background. In other words, the printed color is not going over the white, it's going straight on to a piece of metal flashing that I bought at Home Depot. And so it has a slightly different look. It has a metallic reflective background, and it's very thin because the sheet of flashing for roofing is very thin, so I mounted it onto a piece of plexiglass. The reason this kind of flashing works is that this rolled flashing, which has, you can see a gold or copperish color on the inside, and it's metal on the outside, you can flash your roof with either side out. It doesn't matter because it has this sprayed on coating. And the sprayed coating allows the sublimation ink to transfer onto the aluminum plate. So I would suggest if you're going to try any of this, you just experiment with different materials and see what works best. What obviously works best are the prepared plates that are commercially available, but you have to order them and wait for them and so on. So if you want to just do your own thing with rolled flashing from Home Depot, this will in fact work and yield this result. These are the uncoated aluminum. There's also flashing, which I also bought at Home Depot, and they're little squares. They're thicker and sturdier, but they are not coated with anything, and the sublimation ink would not take. So that didn't work. The only way it would work is to then coat them with something. So I tried spray painting white paint on it, and it took, but it's not the sort of beautiful reflective surface that you get on the prepared aluminum plates.